Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Pursuit of Motion. We are literally in motion right now on a road trip across the country. We are about 2,300 kilometers into the trip, so it's safe to say that the road isn't going anywhere. We're headed back from St. FX University over to Northern Alberta to work for the summer. And for those of you listening, you may ask, who's we? Well, I'm joined today with the lovely Emma Patmore. Emma, say hello to the people.
Hello, people.
Before we get into this episode, because it's on the spot and it's funny, do you have anything you'd like to say to the people?
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Green. The AG1 formula, 700 vitamins and minerals. Use code ADNAN10 for a discount. 10%.
10% off Athletic
That's
Greens.
fair.
If you want to get into great shape like me. So we've been driving, and I figured a great way to put together an episode. I know you guys are waiting very patiently on some of the guests that we have coming up soon. But in the meantime, I figured this would be a great way to further include you all in my life. And a big part of my life is Emma. We have been together for nearly 6 years now. And a lot of people ask how we met and how long we've been together and, what's Emma like? And Emma's great, by the way, but we're going to get into that. Yeah, she's fantastic. So, Emma, how did we meet, would you say?
Mutual friends. I had a friend that was dating one of his friends, and obviously vice versa. And yeah.
I'm a little more rehearsed. My best friend, Ethan is his name, and he was telling me there's this girl, Emma, that you've got to speak to. You're very similar to her. She's really cool. And I was, for the first time in a long time, I was single, and I was like, I'm not interested in talking to anybody. And from my understanding, Emma was hearing the same thing from her best friend, was that you need to talk to Adnan because he's really cool. And that went on for, I would say, maybe it took about 3 weeks before I worked up the courage to send her a message. She was very beautiful. That was a spider on my head.
Oh.
That's scary. She was very beautiful, and I figured she's not going to message me, but whatever. If she's not going to message me, then I don't need to worry about anything. And I'm pretty sure I got a message really quickly. And I'm pretty sure we called the same night, and from the very first time that we spoke on the phone, it made sense. It made sense right away because she's funny. And then so why were we? How long did it take for us to meet? Why were we not, speaking in person? Why did we stay over the phone, Emma?
Sorry, for reference, we're driving by a lot of horses, and that's what I'm looking at. Very captivating. We lived about an hour away from each other. We weren't in the same school, but we called probably every night, like at evening, whatever, for a while.
And then finally we hung out,
Yeah.
and it went quite well. I think after 3 dates, she became my girlfriend, which is cool. And we've been vibing. So we were both in high school. I was 16, she was 15. And so that was grade 11 and grade 12, I believe. And then after I graduated grade 12 and she was still in school, I moved to Edmonton, Alberta for about 9 months to study audio engineering, to basically work on making music. And that's a big help to what I do today. And we did long distance then as well. And then when did we move in together? 2021. So it's been about 3 years.
After I graduated.
Yes. And Emma knew she wanted to go to St. FX when we met. I'm pretty sure you had already made that decision. I was very adamantly against school. I didn't want to become liberalized. I didn't trust what they had going on in the big universities, and I liked what I was doing. I was working with my hands. I was making money and comfortable, and the work was tough. And it's tough living in an isolated place, and it's tough doing work that is not intellectually stimulating. And after a while, after being proven many times how stupid I was,
Not by me.
Not by her. No, I always I always come out dominant in those ones. But yeah. but in debates with actually a guest that we're going to have, and he was referenced in the last episode, soon to be Dr. Tyler Ross. He would always beat me in debates, and so I decided Emma's going to X. He went to X. It only makes sense. And thank God that I got accepted because, now we're here, I suppose. So, Emma, what have we been doing to keep us entertained over this trip? Because Lord knows 6,000 kilometers doesn't go particularly easy. Well, for the passenger princess, I can imagine it's pretty comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We've been listening to music, a lot of Adnan discography going on. A little bit of freestyling. We're listening to a Stephen King book called Mr. Mercedes. I'm a big Stephen King fan, so that's really interesting. Yeah, music and podcasts and the audiobook and riveting conversation, obviously.
Riveting. I named 20 dog breeds earlier, which was pretty amazing. I was able to. And Emma was able to name 9 countries in the Middle East out of 10, which is pretty good. I mean, you yourself at home, challenge yourself to name 10 Middle East countries. Also, we were listening to, I'm sure all of you are familiar, The Office, the TV show. The woman who plays Pam and the woman who plays Angela did a podcast called Office Ladies. And we started listening to it, and it was pretty good. They're both LA ladies, so there was a lot of chit chat that didn't really have much to do with the show. It was entertaining nonetheless. And by episode 4, the woman who plays Pam was really sort of power dominating, not very kind to the woman who plays Angela, who apparently in real life seems really jokey and fun, like a chill person, not at all like her character. And literally, I said, Emma, before we shoot this episode, I gotta be not like Pam because I really, I don't want to come off as mean. So I don't know. Drop in the comments. Is Adnan a L?
Hit the like if so.
Yeah, hit
and
the
if
like.
not, also hit the like.
Just hit the like.
Yeah.
Either way.
Smash subscribe.
Yeah. So we had an interesting experience last night in Quebec. Quebec is gorgeous. For those of you who haven't had the opportunity to drive across this country, I highly advise it. Quebec is gorgeous, but we got to this place. We were heading to a place called forgive me, I'm not a French speaker. Mont Tremblant. I probably said that wrong.
I think there's no T.
Mont Tremblant. It was spelled that way, but either way.
I don't know.
It seemed nice enough. Great deal. I am a silver member in Expedia. So for those of you who don't know what that is, get your bread up. This place, it was a good price. It seemed nice. But just around 6 p.m., they called us and asked us what time we're going to get there. Some places, they don't have 24/7 registration, so they figure out another way to get you your key, whatever. And they said, hey, well, if you get here before 9 o'clock, we've got a restaurant. Said, all right, a little more than 200 kilometers away. Quebec City is pretty traffic congested. It took us a long time to get through there, but, we said we can make it. And the woman was giving me all sorts of grief about, oh, maybe you won't make it on time. The kitchen's going to be closed.
Which Adnan obviously took offense to.
Yeah.
For reference.
No, I feel as though I just hadn't expected that response. And she was given kind of little bits of attitude. And I have nothing but respect for the Quebec nation. I understand the Francophone speakers have a different culture, but also, there was a bit of oh, I don't know if you can do that. And I said, okay, watch me. I'll make it, no problem. Then they call back 10 minutes later and they ask, okay, do you want to make a reservation? Right? And we said, yes, we just told them, yeah, we're going to be there on time. And then they call back 10 minutes later and they say, do you want a reservation? Okay, I already booked a hotel room there. And this is just a restaurant attached to it. But yes, please. And it's up in this little village, not quite Montreal. Maybe it's 100K outside of Montreal, but it's this gorgeous little village. We're 20 kilometers away. It's 8:15. So I made excellent time. And they called us again. and it's a different guy. It's a gentleman. He
A lot of
called.
phone calls.
Yeah, a lot of phone calls. He called and said, "Hey, are you gonna be here on time?" Which, firstly, is pretty out of pocket, to be honest. It's 8:15. We said, "Oh, it's perfect. We're actually 20 kilometers away, so 8:15 is no worries. We'll be there." And he didn't sound like, you would think that's end the conversation graciously. Okay, sounds good. Click. He's like, "Oh, are you sure you're gonna make it?" Because as if he wanted to shut down, and like we were making him
On a Friday night.
Friday night
And it's a bar.
8:15 p.m. As if I was making him be at work.
Yeah.
And I said, "No, we're gonna make it. No worries." And then this man has the audacity to say to me, "Well, do you know what you want to order? Are you familiar with the menu?" It's like, what the heck is going on? I said, "No, I'm not. I've never been there before. We'll probably just order when we get there." He said, "Okay." Click, hang up. That to me is crazy. I don't know about you, Emma, and we did discuss this, so I do know about you. But that to me feels just, when I go to a restaurant, I want the experience. I might as well get a pizza, order a pickup. You know what I mean? So that's crazy. And when we got there, he was giving us all sorts of sass throughout the meal. It's unfortunate. And then to cap it off, how
Don't
did
expose me.
No, to cap it off, how did it end? I can't tell the whole story.
I paid the bill like a proper gentleman.
Emma is the best.
And I won't get into the specifics, but the tip machine was immediately like 15% minimum. I'm sorry, but I ain't tipping 15% if the service wasn't 15% worthy, I suppose. So I custom tipped, and I tipped 10%. Okay, I didn't know
10%.
tip. I didn't know tip. I'm not terrible. Don't cancel me. I tipped 10%, and he did like a kind of a thank you face. And when we turned around, he went, "That's it," and then was like showing the receipt to his coworkers, and I wanted to cry. So
It was
my food was really good.
The
Thank
food
you.
was fantastic.
Thank you
Thanks
for that.
for the food.
I am very broke right now, so
Yeah, the food was very good. For reference, just so you all don't think that I'm jibbing my beautiful world girlfriend, I will say I'm paying for all the gas.
we're going back and forth here.
Like, the bills will be split at the end of the day, but when you're traveling for 4 days, it's like somebody's got to pay the bill. You know what I mean? So don't view me as a less romantic
Don't
guy.
cancel him either, okay?
Don't cancel me, for the love of God. Hit the subscribe button if you don't want me canceled. That's crazy. Chat. Yeah, chat. I'm not a streamer. Would you guys show your friends, "Oh, look how terrible this tip was,"
While they're still in the room?
they're still in the room? And we're
Like,
in Quebec, and we're only speaking English. How easy would it have been to say it in French to his friends, too? That's the other thing. That's the thing that rubbed me the wrong way. It's not that he
wanted me to
complained
hear
about it. It's that he complained about it in a language that we could understand. Yeah, that guy. Kind of handsome, though. He had long hair. He's French. You could tell he was French, you know what I mean? Yeah, tonight we're going to Hearst, Ontario. We're about 150 kilometers away from Cochrane, Ontario. And if you don't know where those places are, I don't blame you.
Neither do I.
Yeah, neither does she. Neither do I. We are west of Toronto and Ottawa, but
No one knows anything past that.
east of Thunder Bay. Come on. That's a good range. So we're in lake country, farm country. It's quite pretty. I've got a nice date lined up for tonight. So we shot a music video today. Last thing, and then I'll probably let you all go. I'm sure that this episode is getting kind of long, but these glasses, I'm going to do a glasses change, were actually a gift to me from Tanya, and they're quite nice. And we shot a music video today, and I was wearing these glasses, so shout out to Tanya for that. Emma, you know what? Before we let you go, viewer, listener at home, Emma, you had the great pleasure, I'm sure, of listening to an episode of Pursuit of Motion with special guest
behind the scenes
special guest. Yeah. Professor McIsaac. We spoke about leadership and balling out, motivation. And it was good. It was great.
Good.
It was a great conversation.
Interesting conversation. Excited to hear it all put together and edited.
There's a moment in the conversation where we discuss about stress buffers that people who work in fields and organizations that are competitive, where they have to be tough in order to operate. Like imagine a hockey coach, he's got to be tough. He can't show his vulnerability. So how do they cope with stress? What is their stress coping mechanism? That's the specific research of Professor McIsaac. So, I hope that you as a listener take the time to come listen. And Emma, any last words for the people? Not any last words.
Oh,
yeah. Is there anything you'd like to say to the people before we get back to our book, Mr. Mercedes?
Don't forget to subscribe. I don't really have too many thoughts at the moment. I'm hoping, not to get ahead of myself, I'm hoping to be invited to a proper episode of the podcast that's maybe a little more structured.
Yes.
And prepared.
Yeah.
Not to discredit the host.
No,
but,
yeah.
So as for now, I'm kind of just watching trees go by, and that's all I'm thinking about. So.
Just Duggan. Well, thanks for being on this episode of
Thank you.
Pursuit of Motion.
Anytime.
I'll even give the fans a tiny little one last thing. We do plan on doing a Hot Wings episode together. The Hot Ones. Yes.
Are you exposing that
I'm going to expose that now. There's going to be a Hot Ones episode coming. Not so near future, but not as far as you may think as well. Stay tuned. And, thanks for listening.